Hey guys. Seal number 15. No, 16 today. Yay. That was weird. Okay. Let's put ourselves in the spirit of seal 14. Like you, I'm using my sheet. Om Karasamanya Swaha. So good relationship with everyone. Om Karasamanya Swaha. 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 Now, the good relationship with nature in all its inhabitants, including us. I'm going to do the Shil Mudra. This is my left hand. Dunk. Om Yakshana Nayajana Radanuboraya Basha Basha Swaha. Okay. Om Yakshanam Nayajana Radanuboraya Basha Basha Swaha. Om Yakshana Nayajana Radanuboraya Basha Basha Swaha. The Shil Mudra. The cup of tea, English cup of tea mudra. Om Yakshana Nayajana Radanuboraya Basha Basha Swaha. Those long complex mantras, I can practice them every day. I also forget, because I practice the next mantra and then the next one. It's like that. Today, we're having a simple mantra. We're learning the word Miraya. In the book, I put a lot of details on that single mudra. The mantra is easy. It's the word Miraya. Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. The mudra is like rock and roll, but only with the major finger. So you do the rock and roll mudra. It's called the tomahawk axe mudra. For whatever reason, the Chinese named it that way. Okay. So start with a rock and roll and drop your ring finger alone. Dunk, and you got it. Right? I will speak of the word Miraya in its literal definition then first. Miraya. When you're on the beach and you look at the sea and it doesn't end. Okay. The endless horizon. So that's a pleasant contemplation. What does it feel to look at the sea that never ends? A few of you never had the opportunity, but most of you did see that. That there is no end. Okay. the Chinese, in the Chinese document published 2,000 years ago, 2,000 something years ago, a bit more, the Nilakanta Sutra in India, actually before that, they say that this is to avoid being imprisoned, to be put in jail. So we have to understand, in that time, someone could be put in jail for any random reason, depending on the flavor of the coffee of the leader on that day, okay? Or if he had a hormonal crisis, okay? So you're just doing your business, you're crossing the road while a knight of the king wants to pass. You, out of my way. And you're trying your best because you got your carrots or your lumber or whatever you need. And he gets impatient. Imprison this insulted man. You know, in a time where there was no laws, this is the kind of thing that could happen. Okay? So there was a practice to avoid being imprisoned. That's actually a side effect, one of the many side effects of the Miraya mantra. Okay. So it will help you not go to prison unjustly. Okay. It doesn't win in court if you've done something that really deserves prison in our society today. But in that time, it was to have an energy that cannot be contained by anything more dense than you. Okay. So now let's talk about the actual practice of Miraya, which is a siddhi, Miraya. If you just do Miraya alone as a siddhi, it does that. It makes you not be contained by a lesser energy than yours, or a lesser amount of consciousness. In that sense, something vicious cannot come and block your way if you are virtuous. If you are vicious yourself, then anything at your level of karma or emotional density on that day can affect you. But anything denser or more evil cannot block your way. Okay? A side effect of which, you will not put into prison unjustly. Okay, so basically you have to understand the context where they explained it. Okay, let us think about a big river. There's a big river and you're on the side of that big river. You look at the shore where you are, it's a piece of land. Then there's a big river, not a small one, a big one. And you look on the other side and you see another shore of land. The human reflex is to believe that these two pieces of land are separate. Can you feel that? That this is this shore, on the other side of the big river is the other shore or the other beach. And these are two separate pieces of land. It's quite a human point of view. Because the earth continues below that river and becomes the other shore. from the global perspective of the earth, the land never stopped. There's simply a vein through it, a passage of liquid. But it's the same piece of land. Okay? So imagine yourself on the shore, and there's a large river, 500 yards across, 500 meters across. And try to feel the land does not stop where I perceive it to stop. Through transmigration, I can feel it just continues forever. In that sense, the entire crust of the earth is without interruption. So from my point of view, with my human perception, I constantly see interruptions. This is one side of the street, this is the other side of the street, and the street separates both sides. We live in a contemplation of separation all the time. But the land is infinite. It doesn't stop. There's a joke that I like to say, which is not really funny, but inspiring for this kind of teaching. The person standing right in front of you is the furthest possible person behind you. Think about that. If you do about the entire earth, okay? So that's the joke about it. So the person in front of you is the furthest person away from you and the closest at the same time. In pure dimension, it's the closest person. But in relative distance, in directional distance, the person in front of you is the furthest back in that sense. Let's go back to our big river. Can you admit that as a human, you feel that one piece of land is separated from another piece of land? Just be honest that in superficial perception, that's how we see it. And we keep repeating ourselves, this is my side, this is your side. This is my side of the bed, this is your side of the bed, but the bed is continuous. This is my side of the border, this is your side of the border. And we have countries. But the actual earth is continuous. And we're constantly imprisoning ourselves through those rules and those perceptions. Do you understand that? So we're going to contemplate that we're on one side of a river. Our eyes sees a big river, and the water is hiding the land beneath it, which gives us the impression that the two beaches are separated, or the two shores are separated. But through transmigration in the earth, we can realize that everything is continuous and without limits. So we're going to practice the Siddhi Miraya for 1 minute. Miraya. With the image of the big river or just with the earth where you're sitting. It does not end. It is circular and it does the entire planet. Miraya. There is no end of territory. There is no limit that can contain you. And it's the feeling, I have no end. Live it like the earth lives it. It's just infinite land, a big crust, and there's water over it. We like to believe that 70% of the earth is covered by water and that there's only 30% of land. But the truth about the geology of the earth is that there's an immense amount of land with a film of water so thin that it only covers 70% of the sphere, that little film of water, over the immensity of the land, of the earth itself, that is uninterrupted. So me, a human being, apply that to you, me, a human being, super tiny and small on my chair or wherever you are listening to this class, I am not contained in this room. I am in this room by choice. But there is no limit to space that I can be. Feel that your energy is not limited to your own body. Your consciousness does not need to be imprisoned in you. It goes through you, but it can flow anywhere it wants. Miraya, Miraya. There is no containment. There is no end. There is no limitation or imprisonment. If we feel that we are stuck in a situation, it is our perception of it. It's just a pure coincidence that miraya in Spanish sounds like mira, to see. It's just a coincidence, okay? So don't get stuck in that word game. Miraya at the bija level is the noble energy, me. Raya, okay, is always linked to other. Okay, so Ra is defined, Ya is relationship or interconnection. Okay, so Miraya, everything can flow infinitely. The noble energies will always stay in relationship or interact with everything else. It opens us to a great field of transmigration. The more personal growth we do, the less density can come and limit our options. Still, there is the flow of nature. For a long time, we grow and we think it will never end. But one day, old age and death will happen. It's something to not deny, okay? Manifest yourself young and healthy in a manifestation way, and accept your state of health and your age as an objective way to accept this is the current state of things. It's a paradox. Okay, you have to be able to do both. I'm just saying that because I just felt some people go into belief of having no limit to anything, including life. Well, if you become immortal, give me your trick. I know a few, but they are too tedious for me to practice. I'm lazy like that. Going back to Miraya after this small break of the Dharma. Going back to Miraya, let's do the practice again for another minute. Miraya. Like looking at the ocean and feeling the earth doesn't end where it seems to end. I remove credit. I remove the credibility of my perception. The impression that I have of being limited, I discard it as just another illusion. I am limitless. The earth is limitless. In the same way that the surface of your body, your skin, seems to be the end of you. This is where I am not there outside. We will discard that illusion. Practicing Miraya, I do not end where my body seems to end. Through the noble energies, me, I can expand, or I am constantly expanded in the field of consciousness of every other raya. Okay, so Miraya, the consciousness, the noble consciousness, is forever everywhere. And eventually Miraya will bring you feelings of oneness. When you apply Miraya to other living beings and feel their consciousness doesn't end in their body and it continues through yours. And then you won't limit it to living beings, but even objects. My energies continues through the earth, and the earth's energies continues through me. Miraya. There is no end where there seems to be an end. I discredit my perceptions of finality or edges, the edge of my skin, the edge of the water. I discredit what I perceive as something limited. And I accept that I am flowing into everything. And I cannot be egocentric enough to apply it only to me. Everything is constantly flowing through me. The Siddhi Miraya it will bring you feelings of oneness. But it is very based on the mechanics of fluids and the mechanics of consciousness, which are very similar. Where something denser than you will push on your water or your consciousness and make you into a river and then an isolated lake. Okay? But if you are noble or virtuous, there is nothing dense enough to limit you. So you are the ocean, the infinite. As I have said, that even the ocean is just a tiny film of water. over the surface of a lot of earth. The earth itself is a ball. At one point in my practice of Miraya, a long time ago, I reached a point of thinking, flowing one with the entire planet. I had no precision on the details, but I felt as the entire world of earth. I still end at the earth, contained by the vacuity of space into that ball of earth and gravity holding it together. And I said, no, I will keep applying Miraya, where the earth seems to end, because on the other side of earth is space. On the other side of the sky, there's the earth, there's the sky, and there's a space, and all of this seems separated. All of this is united as the universe. The earth doesn't end where it seems to end. It flows as consciousness into the vacuity and into the sun and the star and the other planets. So when I reach a state of oneness with the world, I just kept applying Miraya and felt the entire universe is unified. Everything that gives us the impression of limitation is density. And what applies to us as humans with behaviors, we can be imprisoned or limited only by vicious actions, because they generate a vicious causality or karma, and that energy can block us. It's like the mechanics of fluids. Something denser can limit you. Okay? You got that? It's a big complex situation if you overthink it. But if you feel it, you're on a beach, and the beach does not end where I have the impression it ends. It continues under the sea forever. And there's no end to that. And if your consciousness reaches the entirety of the earth, then there is no end of the earth where there seems to be the end of the earth, because it's the universe. And you just keep expanding. Miraya is the unbounded and unchained, the limitless. The more personal growth you do, the less constraint you will be submitted to. It just goes forever. Incarnate your body. As you do transmigration, it's not that we flee, but we tend to go into a higher state and transcend and maybe disincarnate. So let's incarnate the body. Manasu Nivedi. Let's be in that body. And from the feeling of this singular body, practice that we do not end where our body ends. Our body is something that is ours. As long as we're alive, we can treat it as property if you want. We can also treat the body as what we are. It is part of me. It is part of who I am, my body. Include it in yourself if you want. Manasu Nivedi, just be well incarnate. And from this present incarnate state, Miraya, don't be limited to your perception of your body, but be well into it, because that's how we embrace life. Even with the problems, it is wonderful to be incarnate. If you want the physical limits of your world to disappear, you have to be well incarnate in this physical flesh for your Miraya experience to reach it. I hope that made sense. If you want to be not bounded by physical rules, please follow the laws of your society, then you have to be incarnate for your Miraya experience to reach the physical plane and flow into it. And then it will clear up stuff around you in ways you did not remember you felt limited. It might incite you to get rid of old stuff you don't really need, to unclog your space. It might make some situation progress beneficially. If you feel stuck in various ways, in your finance, in your health, again, accept that life will bring age and sometimes sickness. It happens. Be objective about it. Be manifesting of health. Be objective of the current state. So you be responsible. And consult doctors for your medical conditions. Don't rely only on the esoteric tools, unless they work enough for you. This being said, I just want to make sure no one does the idiot's mistake of denying reality because, now I am limitless, and then jump out of a building because you think you can fly. You know, it's ridiculous. Okay. Because in the future, if I am not precise with that, people will do the city of Miraya and think that they have no limit and that they don't have to follow rules. That's not what I mean. Okay? Good. We will do the mala with the left hand because I believe the tomahawk is with the right hand. Yes. Okay? Rock and roll. Tip of the major, loose ring. Well incarnate. Manazvi Nivedi, well incarnate. Everything that gives me the feeling that I am limited. Even my body sometimes tells me that I'm stuck there. I will discredit my perception as just an illusion. Nothing can limit me. It is impossible. I'm limitless. You are limitless. Everything flows into one. Even as I feel local here, everything flows into one. Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. Miraya Miraya Swaha. Om 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 Miraya Miraya Swaha. Miraya Miraya Swaha. Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. Swaha. Om Miraya Miraya 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 Swaha, 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 Miraya Swaha, Om Miraya 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 Swaha, Om Miraya Miraya Swaha, Om Miraya Miraya Swaha, Om Miraya Miraya Swaha. Miraya, limitless, discredit the perception of limits, like when we do pratyahara. Discredit what you perceive to enrich or nourish what you experience. As I am incarnate, I can feel my body as limited to that body only. But I choose not to perceive it that way. My body is this opportunity of expansion, of discovery, of growth. Miraya. Where my body seems to end is not the end of me. And it's not the end of my body in the sense it is not the end of the earth. As a grain of sand is part of the entire beach, my body as a grain of mass is part of the entire earth. And I'm not separated. I just have this impression, and an impression has to be discarded. We're all one, unified in a great field of consciousness. And we can experience it by having noble thoughts and feelings. And these noble thoughts and feelings can only be produced by virtuous actions. If you are virtuous, whatever that means, Rishinaya is a good way to learn. You keep enriching yourself, the goodness in all things, including you. And it raises your mind and your heart. And if you feel that you're negative or angry at yourself and that you're stuck there, Miraya, Miraya. I discard the perception that I'm stuck in my anger. There is no end. There is only evolution. Keep growing. Trust evolution. Keep progressing. You're doing well. Keep going. Be incarnate and avoid delirious thoughts. Be realistic, honest, practice love. All right. See you next week.